This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I am Robert Gatewood, your host. If it affects my stakeholders, it affects me. Over at Amazon, the bots are doing the firing. Man, they got a bot for everything now. If you have built your business model on one-off sales, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. They don't have a better product than you. They just have better marketing. Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Now, today we're sharing highlights from past shows. So grab a seat, get comfortable, and we'll be back next week live right here on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. Enjoy. That's one thing about a business. It's an equalizer. It's a game changer. You don't have to hit the lottery. If you have a skill, have the right mindset, have a mission, you got to have some money. You can start a successful business. And that's why people come to me to help them navigate. We are a business development and marketing company. Been doing this now for 25 years as an entrepreneur. And I spent another 20 years or so in corporate America. Worked for companies like Diet to Go. I was a vice president of marketing and business development, senior vice president. I was also a buyer for brand new supermarkets. I was president and CEO of Telegrocery, one of the first home delivery supermarkets in the country. I know a little bit about this stuff, and I'm willing to share it every Friday right here on the Marketing Pulpit, 10:30 a.m. Small business owners, we are a precious lot. But what we have to do collectively, if we're going to put some type of dent in this failure rate, we have to think like the successful companies. We have to see beyond the shiny objects. We have to look beyond next week and just making next week's payroll. We have to look at these issues like supply chain management. We have to look at marketing as not just a way to get the next sale, but the way to build a solid foundation for your business. That's what separates the Marketing Pulpit from all these other shows. And I'm not knocking them. They have a very vital role. If their role is to get sales in the door, then I say more power to them. If their show is about getting you more likes on your Facebook, I say that's important. More power to them. But what the Marketing Pulpit is about is strategy. How to take these resources, how to take these vehicles, how to take these channels and turn them into a strategic plan that builds a solid foundation for your business so that you can be sustained for years to come, so that you can pass this business on to the next generation. We're not talking about tomorrow or next week. We're talking about legacy building. And that's what the Marketing Pulpit is about. And I'm glad you could join me today. And I want you to come back and I want you to share this information with others, because we have a crisis in our community. In spite of all the opportunity out here, we're still failing at an unacceptable rate. It's my mission, my cause célèbre, my raison d'etre, my reason for being, is to make sure that doesn't happen. Today, we're going to talk about the 10 commandments of marketing. Some things are so foundational and are so pivotal to the success of a business that I have coined them into a sermon called the 10 Commandments of Marketing. And a commandment, that's pretty powerful. That means you should do these things at all costs. And they could be the difference between succeeding in a business or not. That's how strongly I feel about these. And that's why I call them Gatewood's 10 Commandments of Marketing right here on the Marketing Pulpit. Now, number one, you have to commit yourself to a purpose, a reputation that aligns with that purpose. What are you about? Are you just doing this just to make money? Are you doing it for some other reason? But whatever that reason is, it has to be part of your core of who you are, because that is going to manifest itself throughout your organization. It can help determine what type of services you offer, what type of people you hire, what type of stakeholders you align with. So you have to commit to a reputation that aligns with your purpose. That's number one. Number two, whether you know it or not, society is full of problems. I mean, there are ills everywhere. So instead of going out here trying to create new needs and wants, just identify and commit yourself to solving some of the needs and wants and problems that already exist in our society. That's number two. Now, number three, identify the group that is most affected by these wants and needs. Who are they? Who's most impacted? That group becomes your target audience. Now, number four. Now, let's go out and create some products and services that satisfy those needs, take care of those wants. And now you have identified the type of services that you're going to offer on your way to building this successful business. Okay? Now, you have to be able to deliver these products and services at the time and place that's convenient for that audience that you just identified. If they want it delivered, you have to provide delivery. If they want it downloaded, you have to provide downloads. However that audience needs that product and service, you have to have that distribution channel available to them in order to be successful in that business. Now that you've done that, you have to create a message that demonstrates your ability to satisfy those needs and wants and to deliver that product at the time and place that matches the lifestyle of that target audience. That's number six. Number seven, before you created the message that demonstrated it, now you have to be able to deliver that message using the medium that's preferred by that target audience. Are they on Facebook? Are they on TikTok? Are they on Instagram? Do they read the Senior Beacon? Are they still looking at the value pack, the money mailer? There's a lot of different needs between an 18-year-old and an 80-year-old, and they use different mediums to get that message. So you have to make sure your message is where they live and where they frequent. Now, you have to constantly reinforce the benefits of your product and your service. You have to do that constantly. And that has to be one of the foundational aspects of any type of ads or promotions that you put out there. So constantly reinforcing those benefits that'll help you sell better, that'll help your ads be more productive and effective, and increase your return on your advertising investments. Number 9, you must develop relationships with individuals and organizations that have a stake in your success. We call those stakeholders: clients, customers, contractors, employees, vendors, suppliers, partners, funders, the community, government agencies. You have to align yourself, build those relationships, because you cannot do this alone. That is an absolute. You cannot do this alone. Okay, that's number 9. And number 10, you have to exceed expectations at all times. You have to provide exceptional communication and services at all times. Being good is just not good enough. You have to shock them. You have to make them say, wow, I cannot believe they did that. Now, some of these things I've just described, these are what I call some of my secret sauces of marketing. If you do these 10 things, you are assured business success if you have the funding, the mindset, and the means to carry it out. I hope you're enjoying the show, and thank you for tuning in. You can go to marketingpulpit.com and look at all of our past shows in their entirety right there on the homepage at marketingpulpit.com. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also go to Facebook, go to YouTube, go to Instagram, go to Twitter, and sign up and get on our list. Love to have you to follow us, and we'll be sharing information about upcoming shows, guests from the past shows, and a plethora of great information. Thank you for tuning in. Just go to marketingpulpit.com, and we'll see you soon. Did you know when you have a strong brand, people are more forgiving, they're more patient. If you're that company that nobody ever heard of, you make one mistake, Jack, they're ready to throw you under the bus and bag you over twice. Yeah, that is true. I know sometimes we read more things to it. We thinking, well, this person had an attitude. This person had a preference of one race or one ethnic group or one geographic location over another. No, what people have a preference for is a brand that they can trust. So before you start writing off these reasons that people won't do business with you, take a look at your brand. Now, here's something you may or may not know, but I want you to know before I leave here today. Your brand generates a perceived value. And it is no joke. It is proven. It is a fact that people will spend more money for a popular brand than a product they've never heard of, even though it's the exact same product. Something to think about. And the minute I discovered that, man, let me tell you, that was like a light bulb went off. I started raising my price the next day. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to raise my price and I'm going to invest money in branding. Because the brand, once you get the customer, there's something called lifetime value. So you can't just focus on that one customer. So if you spend your money elevating your brand, you're going to bring in more customers, you can raise the price, and then let that lifetime value kick in. People would pay more money for a more popular brand than an unpopular one. Here's something else. People will buy a popular brand more frequently than an unpopular brand. Think about that for a minute. When the brand is strong, you just keep buying it. You buy it. All they got to do is slap a label on it. They'll buy whatever you sell it. That's what I tell some of my clients. I say, look, our issue right now is not what you think it is. Our issue is we need to get some more products out here because we have built this strong brand and people are looking for something to buy that you offer. I have an author right now. People are just clamoring to find his next book. It doesn't even have to be a book. If he put out a 2-page white paper tomorrow, they'd buy every one he could write as fast as he could write it. So when that brand is built and it's strong, one of your jobs at that point is to keep finding products that you can slap that brand on. Folks in the clothing industry, they do this. They're very popular. They're notorious for this. People see a brand as a safe choice. And in a world of safety, in a world of, we talked about the 5 reasons people buy. Safety and security. That's right up down number 1 and number 2. Your brand is seen as a safe choice when it is strong. And the opposite is also true. If I don't know you, haven't heard from you, don't know about you, or you got a bad brand, I do not see you as safe and you're not going to get my money. Think about that. As I stated earlier, people are more patient if your brand is strong. They give you all kinds of chances. And I know sometimes we like to write that up as something else. It's the brand. They're like, man, every time I turn around, I make one mistake and they done run off to somebody else complaining. It wasn't them, it was you. That jacked up brand. Get your brand straight. Invest in your brand. They will give you that second chance because they see you as a safe choice. When you're not seen as a safe choice, you got one time to mess up. And then, man, they're running off to the Better Business Bureau, telling their friends not to do business with you because you had a weak brand. We're making this a lot more complicated. Sometimes we're looking for all these reasons that people scatter. Weak brand. Now, let's talk about what a brand does for you. One thing, it delivers your message clearly. It confirms your credibility in the marketplace. It emotionally connects with your audience. It motivates people to make that buying decision. And it creates user loyalty. Now that's one you cannot overemphasize. Man, let me tell you something. I discovered some of these things just by doing, but now they have been indoctrinated into my marketing secret sauces. That strong brand, man, you can sell something to people as long as they are alive. If your brand is strong. If you have a weak brand, they're going to buy from you one time, then they're going to go back out there and start shopping the next time they need it. Let me repeat that. If your brand is weak, they will buy from you one time and they feel no connection or loyalty to you. The next time they need it or they run out of it, they're back out there in the marketplace looking again because you didn't have that branding foundation. So how do you get this brand? I'm sure some of you wondering, what the heck, Gabriel, you got me all buttered up here. Well, we're going to start with some of the things we talked about. Think about, go back to your company culture. What is it that you represent? When I do my 10 commandments of marketing, the first thing I say before we talk about any type of sales, you have to decide what kind of customer you're going to be, what kind of client you're going to, what kind of company you're going to be. You're going to be a friendly company, high-tech company, low-tech, price, worry about the environment, eco-friendly. These things become part of your brand. Do you treat your employees fairly? Part of your brand could be that you pay the best salaries in town. That goes a long way. How you treat your employees. You may have the best customer service department, like we talked about with Nordstrom's. That becomes part of your brand. So the part of your brand starts before you start creating logos and websites, and literature. The brand starts with you, the business owner. What kind of company are you? Just to throw up a logo and you haven't established what type of company you are, you kind of putting the horse before the cart or the cart before the horse, whichever way it works. So the first thing starts with you. Then here's some things that you can do that are tangible. Get yourself a logo. And then I'll tell you something else you do. You put that logo on everything. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't do that. Uh-oh. What's that over there? Never mind. Yes, I do. When you see this, I want you to think about a company and a guy that talks about building businesses and putting people to work, talking about the good marketing gospel, bring you all this information every Friday. That brand is out there, Jack. And I hope it's all good. Well, I must say, it is pretty good. I mean, I get people calling me all the time. And I must say, don't start today now. I never had one negative call about what I'm doing with this particular Marketing Pulpit TV show. They might talk about me behind my back, but I feel the brand is pretty strong because one, we do have a culture. We're friendly, approachable, knowledgeable, professional, informed. And this logo is the iconic representation of that. Okay? You might, now if you have one of those names that's just, I hate to say it, some of your names are a little out there. It doesn't say anything about what you do. You named after Grandma Lizzie and it doesn't tell people that you do window dressing. Lizzie's company. What the hell? Well, you better get you a nice little slogan or something to go along with it. You need to explain that company, and that becomes part of your brand as well. Like we say, building strong businesses in our community, putting people to work. So you want to kind of let your slogan kind of help you along with that brand too, because some people, like I say, they're either visually conscious or they're readers. They like to intellectualize words that they see. Now you want to integrate your brand into every aspect of your business. And when I say brand, I don't say just your logo, your culture, how you treat your customers. So you got to call that meeting. I try to have a meeting with my staff at least once a week. I know they're like, oh boy, here he comes again. And they're like, then when they get there, they're surprised because I didn't load them up for a ton of work or criticize their work. Now let's emphasize now. We're going to treat people right. I know some of these customers can really get on your last nerve. I'll be the first one to admit it. There's a couple I just want to put in a headlock. No, I wouldn't do that, but sometimes your brain be going there though. But as a company, that's not going to help our brand. They're going to say, look, Gatewood put this customer in a headlock. That becomes part of your brand. But what my brand has emanated is that we're patient. I mean, really almost to a fault. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were telling me, look, man, you guys are too nice. You're being taken advantage of. I said, look, we've been around 30 years. I know a lot of companies that didn't make 30 days. So we're doing something right. So you got to do what works for you, okay? That becomes part of your brand. So you need a company persona. And sometimes it starts with that owner. It goes back to that purpose. That's the place to start. What is your purpose? Is it to save the world? Save the environment? Put people to work? It can't be just about making money. So there are times that money is not there. So your brand can't dry up just because you had a bad month. Brand it has to be enduring. So develop that persona, and then you build things around that persona. You also look at things like your colors, like red and black. Those are like creative colors. They speak for creativity. Yellow, vibrant. You know, every time you see something with a kid in, pertaining to kids, it's yellow. Those 3 primary colors: blue, yellow, red. That's a branding. That's branding at work. You ever notice that a lot of law firms have blue, gray, and black? That's like seriousness. So there are a lot of little things you can do to help project this brand. That's why you need to talk to somebody who knows how this stuff works. And create brand standards for your marketing materials. The colors, the fonts. So when you see that, sometimes it's just that color that stands out. Sometimes that color alone. You ever see a big old brown truck going down the road? The way they're treating these drivers nowadays, you might want to rethink that color of that truck, because they're going to assume you're a delivery driver for UPS. You got a big old brown box truck. Branding, ladies and gentlemen. Branding. Now, you also have to deliver your brand. The worst thing you can do is to build this brand and then not deliver. Because when you develop a brand, you are making a promise to your customers, a charge to keep. You have to deliver on that brand. I can't get up here on this airwaves and talk about how nice we are. The next person calls me, I have one of my employees curse the person out. That's a no-no. That's how you kill your brand. So you got to be consistent. Deliver on that brand promise. If your brand says you're going to be a low price product in the marketplace, you have to deliver on that. If you say that your brand is eco-friendly, you can't be walking around else with foam plastic cups. That's running counter to your brand. You making a promise to your stakeholders with that brand, and you have to deliver on it. Well, I hope you're enjoying the show. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show, and we are sharing highlights from past shows. So continue to enjoy, and we'll be back next week. And we have our segment, Why Are People So Angry? We do that in the next segment. Why is everybody so angry? Why are people turning on each other? Customers turning on companies, companies turning on customers. It's a world gone mad, but we're going to talk about it. Well, look, before I get started, I'm just going to skim through here just to see if I need to do this segment today, because maybe things have calmed down and we can get on to the psychological marketing sermon I'm going to talk about later on. So let me skim through here. Let's see. Man attacks restaurant workers with a harpoon. Uh-oh. Okay, that's not a good start. Man dressed as Spider-Man kicks store worker in the throat. Wild pizza chop brawl where they're using sauce ladles as weapons. Okay, never mind. Okay. Well, I tried. I thought we could relax and move on, but it seems like we still have war going on out here. Well, we've all heard that love is colorblind. Well, apparently, love is also species blind. A zoo has banned a woman from coming back into their zoo because she had an affair with one of the chimpanzees. Ooh, boy, the things you don't expect to encounter on your job. Big banks are flying high. They're making money hand over fist. Boy, Bank of America profits rose 58% to $7.7 billion. I'm not counting anybody's money. I'm not player hating. But the problem I have with this is that these banks are still charging almost $40 on an overdraft. It can be as small as $1. These banks need to go back and revisit some of these policies. I'm just telling you. This is wrong. And then you're going to be boasting about $7.7 billion in earnings. I'm being oversensitive. That's a problem. And it's not just the overdraft fees. There are other policies. You're closing teller windows. You're forcing people through drive-thrus. And let me quit. Good thing I don't have any banks as sponsors. That's why it's good to be independent, ladies and gentlemen. You can talk. You can say what's on your mind. Female workers report higher stress. And that's a non-story. I mean, we've always known that. But what are companies going to do about it? Much of the burden of this pandemic has been borne by females. They're the primary caretakers in most cases. They were already underpaid. They were on the front line in many of these jobs. So naturally, we're seeing 74% of women say they're somewhat stressed for work-related reasons compared to just 61% of men. We've got to do better, ladies and gentlemen. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more, they should be given more flexible work hours, and a few other benefits to level this problem out. So we know the problem. Now, what are we going to do about it as a society? Barriers to entry. There are certain things that are keeping certain companies out of business and protecting those that are already in business. We call those barriers to entry. And one of the things you want to do as a business owner is to create barriers of entry so that you're in a position where not every little Tom, Dick, and Harry can come along and do what you're doing. We're going to talk about time. Time, people say, all right, time is money, time is money. Well, if you have time will help you get more money, but time is not money. Time is more precious than money. Time is better. I've never seen anybody on their deathbed say, man, if I just had a little more money. It would take some time over that anytime. So now why is this time thing so important? I'm gonna give you 3 things that you will start to see a monumental difference tomorrow if you can manage it properly. First of all, when you manage time, you also manage stress. Stress kills. And nothing can stress you out than just not taking care of time, having time, not managing your time properly. Another thing, opportunity. Because when you manage time, you move those things out of the way so you can have opportunities can enter. You open up that funnel for opportunity when you manage your time. And ultimately, I mean, not the ultimate, but this is a big one too, money. You're going to make more money, just plain and simple, when you manage your time better. Let me give you some truism. I'm going to call these Gatewood truisms. Just things that I live by that I have admitted are true. First one is that you have to realize how long things take. Really, very few things take 5 minutes. We toss that term around far too often. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Unless you're on the elevator or in the parking lot. Even that's kind of risky, iffy. When you tell somebody I'm going to be there in 5 minutes, you're not really managing your time properly, and you're setting somebody up for disappointment. Tell them, look, I'll be there as soon as I can if you must. But 5 minutes, God, man, that's only 300 seconds. When somebody tells me that, I immediately put a little demerit beside their name. This person does not understand how time works. They're down the street. I know they're at least 5 minutes away. They're telling me going to be there in 5 minutes. They're still in the house putting their coat on. I'm in a group office with an elevator. You can take you about 3 minutes to get up the elevator. So nothing takes 5 minutes, okay? Just realize, be aware of how long things take. Now, at some point, here's a truism too. Folks, at some point, it's just better to get a new one. You know, some of you all under my voice right now, you've been tinkering around with that old device, that old car, that old phone, that old computer, and just the time you have spent, you could have bought 5 of them. Sometimes you just got to go ahead and get a different one. You got to get a new, or at least pay somebody to fix it. Your time is too valuable to keep fooling around with old crap that's not going to work. Now, here's something, another truism. The amount of time you have is not an indicator of how much success you have. You think if you have all the time in the world, you're going to go out here and be successful. I tell you what, folks, it's almost like the opposite is true. The less time you have, the more likely you're going to be successful in the things that you embark upon because you value time. I use the old saying, if you want something done, get a busy person to do it. Now, what does that mean? Busy people, particularly ones who are busy the right way, they understand time. They're not going to sit on things. They're going to move things along because they have other stuff to do. I use that a lot. People call me, Gatewood, are you busy? Yeah. Well, you can't handle my project. Yes, I can. Because I'm busy. I'm going to get you in here. I'm going to give it the best shot, put it on my schedules, manage it, and get you out the door in the shorter period of time probably than anybody else because I'm busy. I don't have time to be sitting around here playing with your project the rest of my life. Oh, boy. Now, here's something you got to learn, ladies and gentlemen. One of the 3 needs that I call the highest of all times is security, consensus, and scarcity. And this applies to time, too. Scarcity of time breeds urgency. It heightens the desire. In other words, the less time you have, the more desirable you tend to be to others. Think about it. If somebody just always available all the time, I got to look at them at a little side eye. Wait a minute. Now, you do have a life, right? You're not like homeless. I'm knocking homeless people. What I'm saying, somebody just available all the time. They got all the time in the world. Then I gotta give you a little side eye look. Nobody wants you when you have all the time in the world. As a matter of fact, I hate to say it, folks, eventually they're gonna start avoiding you. I'm just saying, these are Gatewood truisms, okay? Now, let me tell you about some of the enemies of time. If you want to kill time, you want to put time on your hate list, here's some time killers. Procrastination. Only thing I'm going to say, folks, just do it. Just do it. I think that was a Nike slogan. You sitting there thinking about it. You hemming and hawing. You running it up the flagpole to see salutes. All that time is just being wasted. You're meeting about it. You're doing, man, just pull the trigger. It might be wrong, but hopefully it won't kill you. I'm not saying be hasty, but procrastination is unjust delay. Another one is perfectionism. Boy, I could beat this to death. I could talk like 10 shows on this. And I tell you, boy, woo, Lord have mercy. Anybody in my line of work, or even really some of these other lines of work, anything involving creativity or where there's subjectivity, where opinions might come into play, Lord have mercy, you're going to have a hard time. Because some people, They're shooting for perfectionism where it doesn't exist. And perfectionism sometimes boils down to their view of the world. You want to kill some time? Just add that. Become a perfectionist. And pettiness falls in the same category. Time killers. Those are enemies of time. Now here's some friends of time. You want some allies. Partnerships. Man, get you some folks around you can work with to move that ball down the court. That's a friend of time. Promptness, getting stuff done on time. That's a friend of time. Patience. That's a friend of time. I'm gonna tell you why patience. Some people might think patience falls into the line of the perfectionism and procrastination. I'm gonna tell you why. Because right now I'm gonna go into my Gatewood time tips, action items, things that you can start doing today. Because let me tell you something, folks. I'm on a mission of helping you build businesses. I can give you all the marketing advice in the world. I can sit here and talk about the 4 P's of marketing: left brain, right brain, the industry life cycles, consensus, social proof, desire to belong, the laws of marketing. But if you're not managing time, it's all for naught. So I'm going back to one of my core foundational beliefs. I'm a foundationalist. You can't get to the big stuff if you don't lay down the foundation. And foundation number 1 is your ability to manage time. Wasted time is the vanguard of failure. If you want to fail tomorrow, you keep wasting your time. Okay, let me give you my 10 tips. Then we're going to get out of here so you can get to work. Let me save you some more time. First of all, plan and organize. If you decide to go down if you decide to drive down to California tomorrow, and I just jump in my car and start driving, I'm going to kill a lot of time. I may not ever get there. Just simple map, set my GPS. Might take might take 30 seconds to set the GPS. It's going to save me about 10 hours of driving around in circles. Plan and organize. That simple. Number 2, be on time. If you get there, if you got a meeting at 9 o'clock, if you're pulling up in the driveway at 9 o'clock, you're already late. You're wasting somebody's time already. You're about to waste time. Be on time, which means really be early. Now, I want you to also practice time reciprocity. In other words, you want folks to respect your time, respect other people's time. Time reciprocity. Don't waste people's time if you want them to respect your time. I want you to do this too. This might take a minute. You may have already thought about it. You probably already know it. You just haven't marinated on it long enough. Figure out when you are your most productive. That's your homework. I just realized it, folks. I fight it, but I know I'm more productive in the morning. I don't like getting up in the morning that early. But man, I get in the office at 7 o'clock. I'm like that Marine ad they used to do. I do more by 9 o'clock than most folks do all day if I get an early start. So I want you to figure out when are you your most productive and govern yourself accordingly. I've already said it. Don't be a procrastinator or perfectionist. Let some of this petty stuff go. Yes, we have our preferences, but folks, let's not spend time on the small stuff. An imperfect mile on time is better than a perfect inch that's late. Okay. Spend more time on the critical many and less time on the trivial few. Because sometimes, folks, that trivial few is the easy stuff. We don't want to, it's that low-hanging fruit sometimes we get addicted to. But sometimes you got to pass on that. It's not low-hanging fruit. Sometimes it's fruit's on the ground. It's rotten. You have to spend more time and go up in that tree and get the critical few. I'm wrapping it up here, folks. Now, make your meetings count. We got into meeting mania during this pandemic. Man, people are meeting every time. You don't need to meet every time. Sometimes just pick up the phone. Yeah, one question. You have a daggone Zoom meeting. You spend 15 minutes trying to get the Zoom set up. Your connection working? Let me check my internet. Hold on, let me reboot. You've killed a half hour to an hour when you could have just picked up the phone or sent somebody an email. Woo! Also, limit how much time you give people. Everybody doesn't need an hour. When you set up a meeting, it's almost like by default. Let's set up the meeting from 10 to 11. You don't need an hour in most cases. You can probably get that out in 15 minutes. Beware of the illusions of saving time. Now, this is important. Sometimes we think we're saving time by taking shortcuts. But you got to slow down sometimes and spend some time on training, explaining, and maintaining. Yes, you can write that down. We have these illusions of saving time. But you can save some time sometimes by investing in training, explaining, and maintaining. In other words, train your people. Explain to that client how it works. And maintain it. Don't wait for it to break down for you to give it some care. And last but not least, there's an old saying out here that a carpenter does his best work when he has sharp tools. He has to sharpen his saws. We have to look at rest when it comes to time as those sharp saws. You do have to get some rest. That is not time wasted. You are sharpening those saws, so when you get out here and you have to start applying that time to your projects, to your business, you're at your best. And you're going to move those projects along a lot faster because you are at your best self. We're going to talk about social media because I deal with people asking me social media questions on a daily basis. They're talking about what platform should I be on, how to be safe on it, what are some of the rules of decorum, should I believe this, should I believe that, what should I do, how should I conduct myself on social media, what are the rules of decorum? Now, I feel like I'm doing a disservice if I don't do this because I'm so vested in this medium. I'm a adjunct professor at Prince George's Community College where I teach social media strategies. I also provide this as a service to the businesses in the 8A program of the Small Business Administration. It's one of the core services we offer at my business at Gatewood Marketing and Web. So I may have a little more insight than many. I don't claim to know it all because social media is so evolving. It's so dynamic. It's changing as we speak. But I am happy to share some insight, not necessarily on how to go out here and build a social media platform that's going to make you a lot of money, but hopefully I can help make you safe and answer some of the questions that come up from time to time regarding social media. And we heard quite a few of our stories today in the news were social media related. So let me go through this real fast. I'm not going to get into a lot of details, but I am going to hit some quick bullet points. Hope you can find useful. Social media, I pretty much group most of us in three groups. There's the social, these people that are all in. They're in it, they're building businesses, they're building their base, building relationships through social media. They see it as a tool that's really beneficial to them, and they're invested in it. That's the social people. That's the social side of social media. Then we have the unsocial, people that are pretty much passive observers. They like it. They'll post every now and then, but they really kind of, it's like an entertainment to them. They go in there and watch what people are doing, and they'll share something every now and then. They're not really all in. They're kind of unsocial on social media. Then we have the third group, which is really a little disturbing. That's called the antisocial. These people are rude, mean, belittling, and they're downright dangerous. So we have to, for one, as a society, understand that there are all these different groups out here. It's not a cookie cutter, and not everybody on social media is the same. There's the, I'm going to give you some of the good and the bad of social media. I'm going to start with some of the bad things. And this is not to put a downer on you, but there are some things that you need to be aware of. Most of all, I think people give too much information out on social media. If you have something to say, if you're angry, social media is not the place to go and to air that. Just plain old TMI. Half of these stories that we did today, somebody went on social media and did something, or they put some information out here they probably should have kept it themselves. Sometimes social media can be very petty. People are selling beefs on social media that really shouldn't be. They're doing it because they have an audience. And that audience is what really have driven many people to make some very bad decisions. It's like rappers out there. It's now everybody can do what the rappers used to do, like the East Coast, West Coast. Now they got their own little audience. We can go on here and talk about people and sell beefs on social media. There's a lot of misrepresentation of what you do, of what people do. And that's intentional. So that's another reason you can't believe everything you see. People are misrepresenting themselves on a grand scale on social media. It can be lazy and impersonal. It's not enough human contact. We need that. But social media has kind of made it easier for people not to develop human relationships. Sometimes people can have this false sense of doing something. Well, I posted on social media, so I've fulfilled my obligation to this particular cause. And really, you didn't really do anything at all. Misinformation and conspiracy theories. That's a very damaging aspect of social media. We've seen that with this pandemic, where people are just giving out crazy information. People are making decisions, very life and death decisions on wrong information. People have dropped their guards. Sometimes it can be very insecure. Bullying, cyber stalking. I can't tell how many stories where somebody has found somebody, stalked them, and did damage to them because of information they found about that person on social media. You're giving too much power sometimes to people that you don't know. You're giving all this power to the powers that be to run these platforms, when you should be putting that power back into your community and your home and your family. It can be addictive, particularly among the young. They don't have the power of discernment that many of our adults have. So when we watch these young people get on social media, and they've been body shamed, they've been bullied, they've committed suicide. So, and then a lot of them just get addicted to it, and that's how their value systems have been totally distorted. And if you're in the business, it can really ruin your brand. You get social media get out of hand. It can ruin your reputation, your personal reputation, and your brand of your company. Those are some of the bad parts of social media. Now, the good part, of course, is that it's a very good marketing and branding tool. And it's within the budgets. It can fall within the affordability of most small business budgets. You can go on Facebook, you can go on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. You can run an ad, pretty successful ad, about $300 or $400 a month. And sometimes it's hard to do that on some of the broadband media, on print, radio, TV, things like that. You can target very effectively. You can do geo-targeting. You can do lifestyle targeting. You can target by demographics. So those tools are available. Some people think that since it's on Facebook, I've got to reach the entire world. No, they have tools that can help you geo-target and target by lifestyle and business types, and other platforms like LinkedIn, where you can really pinpoint certain classifications of industries and things like that. So it's very good for that. Also, it's a good indirect form of advertising. That means where you're actually nurturing and branding and building your reputation without trying to do a hard sell. It's also great for showing videos and your products. And if you got a brand new product line, like some clothing or shirts or hair products, you can really put those out there in a very inexpensive and affordable way. And you can reach a very good audience. It's fast. You turn things around. You can set up an account today and be posting within a few minutes. And if used properly, it can be a great equalizer for some of these big companies that you're fighting against. If you can go out here and build yourself a following and understand that there's basically two types of ways to get out there through organic. Now, organic's going to take a little longer. You got to spend a little more time. But then there's also the paid, and that's where places like LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and so forth, where you can actually pay. But if you don't have any followers at all, you can still reach a very large audience through the paid Boost platform, and that's available on every platform. So social media has some redeeming benefits, but it's moving away from the social aspect. It's more towards now business, and we're seeing more and more what I call the antisocial, the angry, rude, belittling, bullying, and downright misinformation that's starting to proliferate. And I'm happy to see that companies like Facebook and YouTube are taking a stand against some of the misinformation and trolling, but I think they can do more. I'm sure they can do more. Let me give you my quick to-do list of action items that you can do to make social media work for you. And this is just my own personal list. One, I want you to understand it. Understand how it works. There are courses out here. I do a course at the college. This show, we have several shows. We've done several shows on social media. You can go back go to marketingpulpit.com and just do a search. And we've done several shows. If you're trying to build your business on it, we have shows on how to do it safely. So today I'm just covering superficially some of the topics, some of the common areas. Limit your time on social media. It's okay to take a break. You don't have to be on it all the time. I know if you hook, you become addicted. It's going to be very hard. But if you start right now limiting your exposure, you may not get addicted. If you have young people in your care, share this information with them. Make sure they don't get addicted. Try to limit their exposure. Tell them, look, take weekends off. Limit the number of hours they can spend on it. But you got to do that unless you want to be addicted. Don't overly rely on it. Some people think social media is the gospel. That's where they live. Everything they see, everything they do, it has to have a social media foundation. That's not the right approach, folks. It should be one of your many tools of communicating, of promoting, of reaching out to people, building relationships, but it should not be your only tool. That's the old putting too many eggs in one basket philosophy. Once again, don't believe everything you see on social media. Believe half of what you hear and none of what you see, something like that. Half of what you hear, half of what you see and none of what you hear, something along that line. Control the controllables. There are some things on social media you can't control. You're not just some lemon led off a cliff. Go into those profiles, go into those settings, make sure you have those settings set so they benefit you and that you're not just a pawn in somebody's game. Control the controllables. Practice safety. Practice safety. Like I said, don't put everything about yourself on social media. When you take photos, beware of the information that's on some of those photos you put out there. I've seen people put photos of their vaccination cards. I've seen people take pictures of their automobiles, and that has valuable intelligence on it. Somebody wants to do you harm. Your license tag, your vaccination card has your birth date on it. Sometimes all that bad guy needs to lift your identity is just one more little piece of information. Well, if I got the birth date, now everything else, I can make sure that is the particular person, not the other person that has the same name. So you want to limit some of that information you put out there. I know sometimes we get excited about things that we say, oh, wow, we don't think about it. We don't pause and say, look, can this information be used against me? In many cases, it can be. And I can say, anybody who's gotten vaccinated, if you want to celebrate it, I'll celebrate it right along with you, but that may not be the information you want to put on social media because it does have your birth date on it. It may not have the year which you were born, but sometimes that month and date is all the bad guys need. If you're a criminal, forget it. You might as well go straight. The police, man, that's the best thing ever happened to law enforcement. It's social media. Man, these guys can sit back now on their desk and just comb through Facebook and Instagram. They don't have to wear out shoes. These call them brown shoes. They go out there and wear out a pair of shoes, beat on the beat. They don't have to do that anymore. They just go on social media because you put all your information out there and they're coming to get you, believe me. Monitor your account too. When you put these accounts out there are people out there waiting to steal your identity and pretend they're you. So you want to go in every now and then to make sure there's not something fishy going on in your account. And if somebody lets you know that there's an account out there with your name, you need to take action. You need to let Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or whomever know. And they can take that account down if you can prove that you are the rightful person instead of that bad person. Also know that your stakeholders and your bosses and everybody is watching. They are watching. You young folks who are just starting out in your careers, they are watching. Keep some things personal, private. Body parts, political affiliations, your drinking habits. Everybody doesn't need to know that, okay? Your people are watching. Tell the truth. Don't exaggerate, over-exaggerate, and because that information can come back to haunt you later on. Sometimes it might apply to you today, but it will come back later on. Choose quality over quantity. You don't need 1 million followers. You don't need 8,000, 50,000, 100,000. Think about your mission. And I'm going to put an asterisk beside this one because sometimes if you're in a certain industry, it is more important than other industries to have a large following. If you're an influencer, if you're trying to run for office, nobody wants to follow somebody wanted 1 or 2 followers. But if that's not your case and you're more about building your business, your reputation, quality relationships, choose quality over quantity. If you're going to use it, ladies and gentlemen, actually use it as a business tool. That's been my rule. Every now and then I might put something on there about my family, birthday or something like that, a celebration. But for the most part, I use social media for business. I just don't have the time or the patience for some of the other stuff. And that has worked for me. And like I say, I use about the 80-20 rule, about 80% business, 20% I might slide into some social stuff. But usually by then, usually relating to family or something along that line. But you have to make that decision, determination yourself. But I'm just telling you, one way to keep it under control is to have limitations on how you're going to use it. And last but not least, and I say this, I've been saying this since social media has been around, and I'll say it again. So when it comes to social media, use social media and don't let it use you. And my other thing is, if the product is free, most likely the service is you. Keep that in mind as you go out here and navigate this social media waters. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I understand that we can get caught up in social media. It's a great tool if you use it properly. I have had some reconnection with some folks that I probably would have never seen again in my life had it not been for social media. I mean, some on this platform today. And I thank you for reaching out and for reconnecting. But that's what I would like. That's how I would like for you to use social media. Not for belittling, not for espousing all these different beliefs and spreading information that may or may not be true. We can use social media for good, but it's up to you. I want you to search your soul and say, look, before I post this, before I reach out to that person, before I punch this person, before I curse this person out, before I put this political charged statement out here, just know eventually it may end up on social media. So I want you to govern yourselves accordingly. And once again, don't let social media use you, but it's okay to use it if you use it in the right way. Now, the good thing about a business is that that's an opportunity that's available to all. I know some people don't have necessarily the mechanical skills to be a business owner, but everybody can do something to improve their economic lot in life. You can invest in stocks, you can become a partner in a business, you can buy a franchise. There's all kinds of ways to take advantage of this vast opportunity out here. We just have to do it. Well, that wraps it up for today. So we'll be back next week live right here on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. People don't understand marketing. You can't stop every time the money runs out. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.